Good morning, you guys, and a happy Tuesday morning to you. Another ridiculously long video full of all kinds of information. I think Harry is actually brainwashed. There's a lot in here. Let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with King Charles, who was seen driving himself to church on Sunday. I love the fact that he's dispelling the rumors about how sick he is, because obviously if he was that sick, he wouldn't be driving. Moving on. All right, next up, I really needed to talk about this because I just thought it was so fabulous. Apparently, when the Duke of Kent turned 90, they had a celebration in London. His brother, Prince Michael of Kent, were there, as well as a lot of other distinguished guests. This luncheon took place at a place called Ognisko Polski, which translates to the Polish Hearth Club. I think it's wonderful that the family got together and celebrated his birthday, but I'm also sure for him it was bittersweet having just lost his wife, don't forget. But listen, he's still a working member of the royal family at 90, still carrying out engagements. I think that is a feat all in itself. And I hope he had a fabulous, fabulous birthday surrounded by all he loves. All right, let's move on. We're going to move on now to Queen Camilla, who officially opened the 2025 Cliveden Literary Festival before she hosted a reception for authors, festival supporters, charity partners, and students from the London Academy of Excellence. This is the 8th of these kinds of literary festivals at Cliveden, and Queen Camilla was seen at the reception afterwards speaking with guests that included Anthony Horowitz, Ian Rankin, big names. This festival ran October 11th and 12th, and they called it the most dignified and beautiful literary festival on the planet. Moving on. This is exciting. Gisele Bündchen, the supermodel from Brazil, has just announced that she is going to be a prize council member for Prince William's Earthshot prize. How fabulous is that? In her role, she's going to help select 5 winners championing sustainable initiatives all over the world. Now, she has joined the council with William, Queen Rania of Jordan, Kate Blanchett, Sir David Attenborough. She's going to be in good company. She has advocated for environmental and social causes since the early 2000s after one of the Victoria's Secret fashion shows she was walking in was interrupted by a PETA protest against the use of fur. And since then, she has worked closely with the United Nations Environmental Program and helped lead their awareness campaigns. She also supports water conservation through the Clean Water Project in southern Brazil. To celebrate her 40th birthday, she had 40,000 trees planted in Brazil using seeds from a seed bank project she supported in 2006. She's fabulous. All right, time to move on. All right, next up, let's move on to Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. The University of Southampton put up this video saying that Edward had been to visit the week before to see how they had been advancing silicone photonics, which is a transformative light-based technology that drives innovation across data, healthcare, and AI. Silicone photonics uses the same materials found in computer chips to manipulate light with incredible precision, and this enables the development of faster, smaller, more energy efficient, and low-cost technologies that power high-speed data transfers, smart devices, and the next generation of medical equipment. Very cool. Moving on. All right, I don't know about how much more of Andrew I can take. Apparently, it's coming out now that he emailed pedophile pal Jeffrey Epstein long after he claimed to have cut ties, telling him they would ride out their scandal together and would get to play some more soon. Apparently, Andrew emailed Epstein on February 28th of 2011, a day after the photo of him with Virginia Giuffre was first published. Andrew later claimed he flew to New York to cut ties with Epstein in December of 2010, 3 months before the newly released email shows him still looking to their future to play together. Now, he gave an interview. In this interview, he discussed why he was at a dinner party in 2010 and then what he did to cut off contact with Epstein. Listen to these clips.
Invited as
No,
the
I didn't
guest
go.
of honour.
Oh, in 2010, that certainly wasn't a party to celebrate his release in December, because it was a small dinner party. There were only 8 or 10 of us, I think, at the dinner. If there was a party, then I'd know nothing about that.
You were invited to that dinner as a guest of honour.
Well, I was there, so there was a dinner. I don't think it was quite as you might put it, but yeah, okay, I was there I was there at a dinner, yeah.
Was that visit, December of 2010, the only time you saw him after he was convicted?
Yes.
Did you
Yeah.
see him or speak
No.
to him again?
No, that was that.
Never
Funny enough,
since
2010 was it. That was it, because I went. Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that if I was going to go and see him, I had to make sure that there was enough time between his release, because it wasn't something that I was going into in a hurry, but I had to go and see him. I had to go and see him. I
And
had to
stay with him and stay in the house.
I
of a
could
convicted
easily have
sex
gone and
offender.
stayed somewhere else, but sheer convenience of being able to get a hold of the man was. I mean, he was in and out all over the place. So getting him in one place for a period of time to actually have a long enough conversation to say, look, these are the reasons why I'm not going to, and that happened on the walk.
So what can the king do is the big question about this scandal. And what's going on now is that the king is under more and more pressure to cut Andrew off. Not allow him, to him to get together with the family at Sandringham, that they shouldn't be invited, they should be frozen out. Don't expect to see him in the video footage shown during the king's Christmas message. Any sightings will be edited out, and the whole thing is just a mess. He's really making Charles' reign difficult. For those of you who don't know, he's already lost his HRH. He's already lost all his patronages. People are saying they should remove the Duke of York title, but Andrew has remained a Knight of the Garter, which is a high chivalric honor. And while he's not in the public part of the ceremony, the procession in Windsor, he is there for the private parts of the ceremony. Now, what about Beatrice and Eugenie? Well, apparently they pride themselves on being, quote, working young royal women who juggle being princesses and mothers. And the two sisters say they draw inspiration from the strength inside their mother and are very protective of their father. But a royal insider says that while the two of them have matured into intelligent, polite women, their rarefied upbringing taught them to be just as entitled as their parents. It's being reported that Andrew and Sarah believe their girls deserve the gilded life of a princess with a leg up from them without the burden of royal duties. Well, that's interesting. Apparently, the girls have been carted around the world on business trips and introduced to Andrew's shady friends if it secures the royal lifestyle they enjoyed growing up with at Windsor Royal Lodge. The articles have said that, the girls were never going to be working royals, but they've absolutely benefited from their family connection because Andrew introduced them to many of his business contacts and foreign royals. And as a result, the girls have become friends with shady people. They even have contacts in the Gulf states among the super rich Saudi Arabia, where Beatrice and Eugenie have both popped up in recent years. As an example, in the article, they brought up the fact that Beatrice had her BMW stolen in 2009 because she left it unlocked with the keys in the ignition because she was used to her police protection officer looking after those things. Now, whether you believe it was their decision or not to be working royals, or it was them and their families putting a brave face on things, it's being said that the girls wanted careers instead of the life of ribbon cutting that Andrew had, and they maintain it was the girls' decision. The girls have been drawn into Andrew's crap. For instance, Jeffrey Epstein was at Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday party in 2006. Then you had the 750,000-pound grift from a millionaire, which Andrew insisted was for Beatrice's wedding. And then the high court case in 2022 heard how Eugenie got 25,000 pounds from the same benefactor, including a 15,000-pound birthday gift sent 6 months in advance. Yeah, there's something wrong with that. Now you should know the princesses have put on a brave face after losing out on their taxpayer-funded life of ribbon cutting, and apparently they're claiming that the girls wanted to be working royals, but it was King Charles who made it clear that they could not. You know, people are talking about the fact that Eugenie lives in Ivy Cottage on the grounds of Kensington Palace, and it's not clear why she still has the cottage. And I'm sure they're saying it would be claimed that she pays a commercial rent, but people are skeptical about that. In other words, the daughters are already got the privileged life, and I think at this point, Andrew and Fergie just want them to keep it. All right, let's move on. Let's move on now. It wouldn't be a trip to New York if they didn't get their pap walks in. So, of course, as soon as they were done with the mental health event that they were at, Harry and Meghan were seen walking into New York's Soho House to have lunch with Serena Williams. How much do you guys want to bet that Marcus Anderson was there as well? After all, he's the head guy at Soho. We all know why they were in New York. They were there to pick up that sham of an award. And just as an FYI, the articles are also reporting at the same time that Meghan is supporting Harry's efforts to reconcile with King Charles and the royal family because she's well aware that they need the royal family. Now, something else was obviously going on. We saw the weird looks. We saw what was going on between the two of them. So after that lunch, the two of them separated to go off on their own. Meghan went off to have dinner with a friend. We don't know who that friend is. Then Harry was seen out on his own. Later on, Meghan was spotted in a restaurant having another meal with another unknown friend. We'll never know who, and quite frankly, who cares? But it's very odd to me that they're in New York and they're doing their own separate thing. Usually that's a no-no. So I'm telling you, this awkward appearance on the carpet pretty much showed some cracks, as far as I'm concerned, in their marriage. I mean, Meghan is going out of her way to make sure that she's pictured all over Manhattan, going in, going out, being seen at the hotel, because, you only are who you are as long as you're in the press. But don't worry, Meghan's going to be in the press because she was spotted talking with the new American Vogue editor, the one that took over for Anna Wintour. I think we're going to see her on the cover of Vogue again. All right, I told you yesterday that Harry is trying to renew his battle with the government over his security risks. And they're saying that this is derailing his reconciliation with King Charles, that his decision to lobby Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, asking for his taxpayer-funded security in the UK to be reviewed again, is complicating things for King Charles. Remember, he receives protection on a case-by-case basis when he goes to the UK. He lost his right to automatic round-the-clock security after he stepped back from his royal life. And his letter, which was revealed on Friday, is once again making the king wary of contacting Prince Harry. It's not helping. They're back to where they were. Remember that King Charles met Harry for the first time in 19 months at Clarence House after Harry lost the legal battle with the government. And Charles was very smart to do that, because otherwise it would have seemed like he was interfering with the government process. But what happened at that meeting? Well, I think Harry asked his father to intervene. And they're saying that the king cannot and will not lobby. It's inappropriate. His representatives cannot advocate for policy outcomes, particularly in relation to his own family. Now, the royal household representative that's on the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, we've all heard it, Ravik, which is overseen by the Home Office, is not there to advocate a position for a member of the royal family. They're purely there as a liaison to the household. So if you put yourself in the mind of a father who is repeatedly told he could and should intervene by his son, that just complicates matters and shows a lack of understanding about the reality of the situation. But the truth is, Harry feels that King Charles should intervene in the process. It's not going to happen. He's privately lobbying on the matter to increase his security because he wants to bring Meghan and the kids. The thing is, he's not going to get security for things that aren't related to the royal family, like coronation, or that sort of thing. And if he goes with the kids, he'll be on royal property in one of the palaces. So I'm not sure what this is really about, other than the fact that he wants his IPP status back. All right, next up, I could not resist this. They're saying roll over Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Mother Teresa because Meghan Markle, the humanitarian, is coming on through. This is one of the best articles I've read in a long time. They're basically pointing out that she was rewarded for all of her thoughtless, selfless, and inspiring things that she's done for all of mankind, for mental health, online safety, and the damage social media does for children. And it was pointed out that lesser humanitarians have faced torture, prison, and death for their beliefs. But, Meghan ain't got no time for that. She achieves just as much while gliding into a ballroom in a borrowed outfit or sprinkling flowers on muffins in a friend's kitchen. Project Healthy Minds offered their gratitude for her leadership and generosity, and now it's being said that the royal household will probably echo that sentiment because, after all, the Windsor Castle gardeners witnessed her generosity firsthand, although the words they used were rude and bullying. Palace staffers formed the Sussex Survivors Club. They admired her leadership so much they dubbed her a narcissistic sociopath, with some being forced into therapy. Meghan made a profound difference to the lives of a lot of palace staff by making them feel like, the S word. Even Thomas Markle can testify to her transformative impact on his mental health. She hasn't spoken to him for 7 years as punishment for refusing to obey one of her demands. You guys know humanitarians must be obeyed. Even Thomas doubts his daughter will attend his funeral. But in her defense, Meghan is likely to be busy that day, saving the world somewhere. Eventually, the world is going to have to come to its senses and recognize people for what they do rather than their vain, phony, self-serving rubbish that spouts out of their mouths. But, we're going to need the patience of Gandhi while we wait for that. All right, let's move on now. We know Meghan's going to be on that board this week talking about what it's like to be an entrepreneur in the public eye. But what's coming out is that her As Ever brand is really struggling because Netflix put in a huge investment. And as a result of that, Meghan's not making as much money as she expected because a significant portion of the profits is going to Netflix. At the moment, they're saying she's literally lost because the whole jam making business didn't work out the way she thought it would. She just relieved that, that Sauvignon Blanc, but it's not making her money because Netflix owns the business. She did say in her Bloomberg interview in August that Netflix was currently her only sole backer. And she said, and I'm quoting her, "I thought it would be great just to build out my own team and really do it purely on my terms. But then I would also say Netflix made a really compelling sell." I'm sorry, but I don't believe that for 1 second. I think she needed the money. I think she went to Netflix. I think Ted Sarandos just loves her for whatever reason, and they gave her the money. So what's being said is that the company is at rock bottom, even with Netflix's investment. I have absolutely no trouble believing that. And also, nobody has really seen the figures from the sales because she refuses to tell anybody how much she had in stock. And the reason she doesn't want to tell anybody what was in stock is because there was barely any stock. You guys get where I'm going. All right, let's move on. Now let's go back to Meghan. We know that when she gave her acceptance speech, to crusade for children, especially her own, now forced to grow up in a toxic world, people were shocked because after all, she was at the Paris Fashion Week for the Balenciaga show, that brand that just had a firestorm for advertisements that promoted child pornography. So logic, follow-through, and integrity, they're saying, have not been Meghan's strong suits. Hypocrisy is her strong suit. Now remember, it was last year that Harry and Meghan sat down with CBS Sunday Morning to talk about their new initiative, the Parents Network, which was meant to, combat online bullying of children and teens, working with parents whose children had unalived themselves. But then in August, she hosted Chrissy Teigen, who repeatedly bullied, online and publicly a young starlet to take a quote-unquote dirt nap on her With Love Meghan show. Meghan herself said that she was bullied while she was pregnant and when she had newborns. And she goes, it's not catty, it's cruel. Why would you do that? So here's Meghan in Paris, the city in which Princess Diana lost her life, filming herself, feet up in her chauffeured SUV, driving past the tunnel where Diana was killed. Well, how humanitarian was that? It's very logical to conclude that Meghan, by her own self-report, a perfectionist obsessed with detail, knew how painful that would be to William and Harry. And then at Balenciaga, doing a paparazzi walk from her hotel to her waiting SUV, Meghan was caught laughing at the model who tripped on the runway. Remember, it's not catty, it's cruel. And then looking at Marcus Anderson, the global membership director, to join her in the mockery. And Anderson was disgusted and refused to even make eye contact with her. Instead, he silently shook his head, appearing to say, "Stop it." So remember, security has been removed, and so Meghan felt safe enough to go to Paris, the scene of a literal crime, because remember, Harry thinks his mother was offed, and then they felt safe enough to go back to New York City, where they supposedly were the victims of a high-speed paparazzi chase that was later debunked by their own taxi driver, to collect yet another meaningless award for their cheap lip service. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, that stupid, insensitive video, if you can believe this, Harry is upset because Meghan Markle is being criticized for taking the video passing the area where Princess Diana died. People are saying it's bewildering, beyond stupid, and insensitive beyond belief. Meghan claims that she was not aware of her car's location, and Harry said he's despondent but not surprised by the unrelenting criticism hurled towards his wife. Harry was so hurt and upset that Diana's death is being used as a stick to beat his wife. We all know what's going on here. This is no different than when he told her not to take the picture in front of the Taj Mahal, and she goes, we all know that was like the most famous picture in the world, and she goes, "What picture? What are you talking about?" Now she's claiming she had no idea where she was in Paris. She just took a video. Harry, I'm innocent, and look at the way they're attacking me. Get it? Victimhood at its best. So let me tell you, the fact that Harry actually believes her. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't know where I was in Paris. I don't know this. The fact that she constantly plays that card with Harry, and after all these years, Harry still believes her, if anything, in my opinion, just shows how whipped Harry really is. Unbelievable. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications after you leave your fabulous comments. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.